what do you feel like are some sticking points right now with your business where it's at? Like, what are some maybe some barriers you're trying to overcome? Some not not literally things keeping you up at night, but what are some issues you're trying to address?
We joke that we live in this world of like DoorDash, and everything happens so quick that to go through the process, especially on a full custom project, it's not a fast process. Get some expectations managed on that gentle balance of time, budget, and quality are key. I try to come at it on the front end of like under promise and then overperform from that standpoint. Things are going to take a while. We're going to hit bumps along the
Yeah.
road. We try to have that conversation before we start to say there will be a point when we have to call you and say, hey, we're calling to have an uncomfortable conversation. The unexpected X, Y, or Z came up. I like to have that benchmark, like that seed planted on the front end. But
Yeah.
you know it's going to happen, letting people know that it's going to happen. And with the expertise of everybody on our team, when we call, we're not calling like, Chicken Little, the sky is falling, oh no. We're going to call, we're going to inform, we're going to lay out some options, some ways we can go tackle it. Those are the like what and like keeping us awake, or the
Yeah.
hurdles that we face is really, I'll
Yeah.
say, expectation management.
All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Builder's Bible. I'm joined by Bill and Brad from Holliday Homes. Bill is a good friend of mine from Lake Forest Church, and we've known each other for a long time. And he and Brad are doing some really cool things with custom home building. And I've followed the journey from afar on social media, and the quality of work has been really, really cool. And I've really enjoyed watching it. So I was like, I should have them on the pod. So here we are. That's my first question for you guys. Tell us the story. How'd you guys get to where you are today? How did the business start? And what's the thing like that makes you guys kind of unique in what you do?
Great question. So Holiday Homes, I've been in the real estate space for a long time, and started my career more on the finance side of things. I had a asset-based lending company that did financing for people fixing and flipping houses back kind of pre 2008. That was a great business until it wasn't. It was a tough stretch, kind of post 2008. Learned a lot of lessons there. Came out of kind of that season and partnered up actually with my former lender. And he and I, this is probably about 2011, 2012, we started a company called Blue Hill Development, which was basically focused on like land development deals, infill townhome projects, active adult communities, rental town communities. I mean, it was kind of a mix of things. And, it was between like Raleigh, North Carolina and the Charlotte, North Carolina area. It's kind of spending a lot of time on the highway, kind of going back and forth. And part of what happened in that is I just kind of, I'm 57 now, but I mean, at that point, early 50s, and I'm starting to ask the question of how do I want to finish my career? I mean, what do I enjoy? What do I want to do? And a lot of the work I was doing was just not in my sweet spot of what I love, which, I mean, and that kind of was the birth point for Holiday Homes. I ended up selling my half of the business to my partner, and I started Holiday Homes because, and the whole focus of Holiday Homes was, I wanted to improve the community where we live. I mean, we live in a little town called Davidson, North Carolina. I mean, that's where I met Andrew. He went to this, there's a little community college here in Davidson that he went to. Just kidding. Davidson is a great little school here in Davidson. He was ragging on my fine institution. So anyway,
I mean, it's better than graduating from Duke, and that's way better.
At least we're united on something. That's good.
There you go. There you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
We can all agree. Brad went to Tennessee, so
I'm not a Duke person.
I got no bones to pick with Tennessee. I love Dolly Parton. My kids love her too. So
okay, there you go.
There you go.
Orange is ugly. That's all I need to say. That's
yeah.
in Tennessee.
Hey guys, if you could move that laptop a little bit closer so the audio would come in a little. Yeah.
we're not the experienced podcasters with the great setup over here. So you just tell us.
No, you guys look great. You guys look great.
That's hard to do.
Like a fine wine.
Like fine wine, it just gets better and better. So anyway, like it was funny. I used to joke around with my partner in Blue Hill Development. I always talked about, wanting to do projects for my neighbors, and I know a lot of people here locally and just wanted to be a part of just, okay, how can we, build a more beautiful community? I love the aspect of taking something from nothing and creating something that's beautiful, that really does enhance the streetscape and creates beautiful homes that people love, in communities where they want to live, work, and play. And you'll kind of see that language on our website. So that was the birth point of Holiday Homes. I bought my first piece of land in like 2019, and ended up, just subdividing and building, renovating one house, building another house, and that was the beginning of a long and fun journey. It turns out being a custom home builder is hard. And so there's been a lot of lessons along the way, but you're talking to us at a point where we really are at a really healthy, good place, and really seeing some great momentum in the market, and we love what we do. And so
Bill? What's the strategic alliance you and Brad? And I remember from our previous conversation, and I've known you for a while. You're very much a visionary. You're like, probably best like shaping the future, what's to come, the beauty and the vision. Is Brad the one who actually gets stuff done? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, you nailed it.
With our team, we've got 5 of us now, and Bill's role is, like you said, it's the dreams, in this small town of Davidson. I joke, I think he knows everybody. I call it the one.
That's true.
The 1 degree of Worsley. It's 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon. It's 1 degree of Worsley. So Bill creates and gets some fun opportunities in front of us, and then from that kind of that idea phase, my background is, as I say, taking the idea and figuring out how do we go execute the idea. We have Brian out in the field. He actually, as I say, boots on the ground and gets it done. We use some language kind of around, if you're a Patrick Lencioni guy, we're table group, working genius people. It's really been a phenomenal tool to help put our team together. And so for me, kind of that skill is to understand this dream and these ideas, and then be able to tie that back in together and put an actionable plan, with, all the details that you need from the architectural, the engineering standpoint, the budgets, all the fun details to make it come to life. So
I tell all of our clients when we do like a kind of our intro meetings, we kind of get to the end and I look at them, I'm like, by the way, the last thing you want me doing is building a house for you. I was like, that's why we have this great team. And so, and that is critical, at least for us, but I think it's critical in this business. But creating a place where people can flourish in their gifts and focus on the things that, God created them to do. I mean, it is a beautiful thing to watch when people are sitting in a seat where they truly are able to wake up every day and able to do what where they just soar, in their work. And it just brings people joy. We have a lot of fun. Some days are hard. I mean, that's the nature of owning a business, but we love what we do and have a lot of fun doing it together.
So what's the niche you guys seem to have stumbled upon? Correct me if I'm wrong, you seem to be doing somewhere between 2 to 10 houses at a time, and also custom builds as well. So what's your guys' model? Because every custom home builder is a little bit different in how they acquire clients and who they serve.
Yeah, I mean, so primarily we're doing, we acquire lots, we develop plans, and then we'll either pre-sell that plan with the customer financing the project, or we'll build spec. we're actually doing more spec now than we've done in the past. I mean, part of that is because we've gotten really confident in our system, our ability to develop a really good product that the market wants. The challenge with spec is more risk, so we want to diversify that risk. But when we're at our sweet spot, I'd say probably 6 to 8 at the most projects at any given time. And our current price points, I mean, the least expensive thing we have right now is going to be kind of in that 1.5 to 1.6 range. And I would say that's a tough thing to make pencil now, kind of in the markets where we are, just because of land values. That just happened to purchase those lots at a really good price. But kind of everything going forward, it feels like we're kind of in that $2 to $3.5 million price point. Some custom, some semi-custom. I'd say about 15 to 20% of what we do is a pure custom home where client comes to us, they say, here's our lot, here's our plans, and we help them kind of through that process, or we help them finalize the plans. They might have a concept, and then the bulk of what we do is our land, our product. And I don't know, I feel like we're developing a little niche in that space in the Lake Norman area. And by the way, every project we have right now, except for one that we just finished, this one is right in the heart of Davidson. But we really want to be in the Lake Norman area. So
broaden the footprint a little bit more.
Yeah.
We joke it's starting to get confusing internally. We've had so many projects on Walnut Street. They trying to keep all the paperwork together and trades in the right spot. It gets a little comical.
I mean, if there was a town in that area to have a corner on, I mean, there's not a more desirable place to live than Davidson. I mean, it's so safe. Yeah. It's a college town. Like I was surprised actually after I graduated from Davidson, how many people graduated and wanted to move back to Davidson. You know, like I felt like once they started having kids, they were like, oh, I want to move back to Davidson. I'm like, are you kidding? Like, this is where we spent so much time. It's because it's such a desirable place to live. So, I mean, if you have a corner on it, keep going. I love that.
Well, it's amazing how the quality of life in Davidson just shot through the roof when you moved to Denver, Andrew.
That's weird. Yeah. What are the chances?
I don't know if it's cause correlation. I mean, well, who knows?
Crime went down. Yeah. GDP went up and yeah. Okay. So
it's like a great little Norman Rockwell, little town, where we're building now. People can, if you work from home, you could probably get away with, using a car once a week, if that, walk in downtown, you have restaurants, you got grocery stores, you got, the pharmacy, the library, like everything's right there. Kids can walk to school. So, I mean, very friendly for, people that are looking for that sort of lifestyle versus, spending 2 hours a day in a car commuting into, an office and, things of that nature. So I think it just sets up really great for families. So like you said, it's a great spot to have a niche built in for sure.
Yeah. Okay. I want to double click on something you said earlier, Bill. You said you're starting to get more confident in your process. And that is one thing that I've noticed with builders. There seems to be a glass ceiling a lot of times at certain breakpoints. Like with custom home builders, I found maybe 10 to 12 homes a year. I feel like you can kind of stumble along and still do 10 to 12 homes a year. But if you really want to get past that, you have to have something dialed in. So what is your process? What's unique about what you guys are doing? You don't have to give me the secret sauce or the IP, but what are you so confident in about your process?
You see who I'm looking at.
I mean, that's definitely more my wiring of, as I say, we don't need to reinvent the wheel on every project. With a few years under our belts and a team that part of when we were putting together our team, my leading questions were, have you worked in an environment where it was process driven? Because, so when you kind of have some method to the madness, it really does help. I've been in environments working before where I would just remind people you don't have to remember everything. You just have to remember that we have a system. Just go use the system. Don't let your brain get filled up with every detail. Just remember that you saved it in the system, and then go look it up when you need to. So that from a process standpoint, I mean, I will say we use a a good cloud-based system that a lot of other builders use. I'll let y'all figure out what that probably is. For clients, we're utilizing that for confirming selections. We're sending purchase orders out from there so that we're on the same page with our trades. Everybody knows what the scope of their work is. From a billing standpoint with our trades, we're matching that right back up to it. We're invoicing our clients from that same platform to just tie it all together. There's a lot of details. So the more that we can have a good system of that nature in place, the better it just helps manage that chaos, because there's a lot of chaos that's out there. Today we had pouring rain this morning. As I look out, now it's dry. So who knows what's happening
now? It's sort of dry.
Yeah, well, it's not raining right now. But who knows what's happening out from a schedule standpoint? There's probably some trades that when the rain stopped, we're able to get back to it. There's some that are gonna they're gonna be paying the piper for a few days until it's dry enough to get out there to work. So there's always the the chaos of things that are outside of our control. So controlling what we can with the process, like I said, from with a client when we get it under contract, and then we go through and have them, kind of through that process of selections we have an in-house designer that goes through all that with them. But yeah, like I said, we try to tie it all together from the front end to the back end so that when you have questions, it's go to that spot, field manager, he's logging daily information in there and, actionable items off of it. So yeah, that's the process. That's what's helping us manage the chaos. And like I said, control what we can control. So.
What do you feel like are some sticking points right now with your business where it's at? Like, what are maybe some barriers you're trying to overcome? Some not literally things keeping you up at night, but what are some issues you're trying to address?
How would you answer that?
We joke that we live in this world of like DoorDash, and everything happens so quick that to go through the process, especially on a full custom project, it's not a fast process. Having the conversations on the front end with clients, to try to help, I'll say, get some expectations managed on that gentle balance of time, budget, and quality are key. I try to come at it on the front end of like under promise and then overperform from that standpoint of things are going to take a while, and we're going to hit bumps along the road. We try to have that conversation before we start to say there will be a point when we have to call you and say, hey, we're calling to have an uncomfortable conversation. The unexpected X, Y, or Z came up. I like to have that benchmark, like that seed planted on the front end. But you know it's going to happen. Letting people know that it's going to happen, and like with the expertise of everybody on our team, when we call, we're not calling like Chicken Little, the sky is falling. Oh no, we're going to call. We're going to inform. We're going to lay out some some options, some ways we can go tackle it. Those are the what and like keeping us awake, or the hurdles that we face is really, I'll say, expectation management. And then I think the biggest one that we've seen, at least where we are, is if somebody's moving from let's call it an $800,000 house that they bought 10 years ago, and they're quote moving up, or it's about the same house if they're into that 1.4 range these days.
Is
the pricing of, especially where we are, like I said, land, but the pricing of construction, and if you want quality done, is that's a tough pill for a lot of people to kind of come to grips with and swallow. Is 10 years ago versus today is so different in terms of what you can get.
Andrew, one thing, like in everything Brad was talking about, we can say up these things up front. We lay it out in terms of here's our process. We have a visual communication tool and we've gotten to a place where it's almost in every conversation, we're reminding people, okay, just a reminder, here's where we are in our process. Because everybody wants to start before you're ready and they want to move in before you're done. So it's this constant just reminding people, you want a quality home. That takes time. We can't start the next step of our process until we finish this step in our process. And, so it's constantly bringing that back into the front of our conversations with all of our clients. If we manage that expectation well, we have just found that it results in a good outcome when it comes to our customers being happy, because we're going to build a quality house. I mean, we have a standard that oftentimes in the end it's us who's saying wait, because it's that last little bit that we're trying to get dialed in, and we have found that customers, it doesn't matter how many times you say it, you get to the end. It's quick. People can forget. Am I saying that well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, it's going through the process to build a house. One of the things I say up front with clients is, there's a ton of excitement. Like, you're building a new house.
Oh my gosh.
This is a major marker in your life and your family. But at the same time, there's a reason that the DSM-5 or whatever it is now says it's like one of those top 10 stressors that you go through. Moving, so we're going to try to guide through that process. It's one of those where, like your doctor, if they give you information, they probably say you need to trust the process. We're saying let us finish the house. Let's get it buttoned up and let's hand over keys to something that's done really well. But again, trying to find through that and go through, because we do joke a lot with clients too. It's like a short-term marriage. You're involved in this process for a few years, and it's very detailed. You're asking people like, well, which hand do you open the door with if you're coming out of the bathroom? Like, how do you want the door to swing? You get into some very interesting and comical conversations sometimes on planning things. So when you're going through that, to just help them go through the process, guide them through it, and help try to find some balance of, I'll say, holding lines, managing some excitement and some expectations, and that can be a tricky balance.
Let's talk about AI for a second. Where are you guys currently using it, if at all? And then where do you feel like you should be using it, but you're not?
That is a great question. When we started this year, we kind of looked at each other and we said, we've got to figure out how we can utilize AI in our business to make our processes better, to make our communication, across the board. So right now I'd say we're in a discovery mode about how we can and cannot use AI. And I think that's true for a lot of businesses. So, places we've used it, we're using it for, social media management and, writing copy, and, it's great for a first draft on a communication. We're using it for, documenting meetings, providing, summaries and follow through and different stuff like that. But again, I feel like we're just scratching the surface. How are we going to be? I think how we will manage our business in the coming years is going to look very, very different over time in terms of things we're going to be able to automate and outsource through AI type tools. But that's part of the reason we're talking with guys like you. You and I have been having this conversation a little bit, and so trying to learn from others. How do you see other people starting to use AI in their businesses? I'd be real curious.
Well, I'll tell you what we're doing at Freedom AI. Plug for what we do, but we're building a lot of AI agents for people. So one of the questions I always ask people is, what's the most tedious, repetitive part of your business that would be the first thing to break if your business doubled overnight? So I'll give you an example. We're doing something with a property management company right now, and this is a really fun one. They have 60 Airbnbs, and for every 10 Airbnbs, they need one virtual assistant to manage the properties. And so all of the communication with guests, restocking the property, and they're like, hey, we really want to grow, but this is a bottleneck. And like
Yeah.
every time we get 10 new clients or whatever, we need to hire one virtual assistant and it's a total cluster mess. And I'm like, well, let's automate that with AI. So we're going to build an AI agent that literally restocks the properties, messages with the guests. And it's almost kind of like you played video games as a kid. It's like a power up. It's like, hey, this is the power up that your business needs now.
Yeah.
And I'm never a fan of AI replacing people. Like that's not my goal. I think AI is just a tool to create freedom. So a conversation I had this morning, they're like, well, then we could redeploy them to do this and that and the other thing. Like,
Yes.
yeah, that's all we want to do. So that's why I always say, like, and maybe that's a good question for you guys. What is that thing? Like that tedious, monotonous, or is it estimation? Is it client communications? Is it selections and costing? Like, what would you say that thing is?
Great question.
It is a great question.
Yeah, I was actually talking with our field manager about this earlier. From the world of construction, I think with what we're doing right now, and this is where I'm like scratching my head trying to figure this out, with each project being one-off and unique, trying to think through like what are I'll say the scalable, repetitive things that don't require a lot of, meeting with somebody, getting on the phone with the trade we work with, to be like, all right, let's review this, let's talk it through, let's figure out what the game plan for this project is going to be. That's versus if we were doing a neighborhood with 300 houses, based off of 5 plans, like there would be a little more what I'll call wash, rinse, and repeat there. So yeah, it's a great question, and one that I'm sitting here going, like you said, what's a tool that we can use to create a little, or some margin in our time, so that we can utilize it for something else.
Yeah,
that's the.
I agree. I agree with custom. It is an interesting question. And a thought I have probably is also client acquisition. It's interesting. I've talked to a lot of home builders, and I find it interesting. I haven't talked to a single one, even like $100 million home builders, that have a repeatable way to get new clients in the door. And it seems like right now with Bill, like he's incredibly connected. He gets people in the door. But that's one area I think for home builders that could be really interesting, is just acquiring new clients using AI.
Well, I mean, it's interesting to me. Like, this is actually one of our big focus points right now as a business, because our pipeline's full through, I mean, most of next year, I would say, and so we're starting to plan. I mean, we could take on additional capacity if we made the decision to. But so a lot of our work right now is on the marketing side of things, of like, how are we getting our story out? Because we can be phenomenal at what we do, but if nobody knows who we are, then we're going to be challenged to find that next project. I mean, I can know everybody in town, but connecting the dot with them, going, oh, wait a minute, you're Holiday Homes, and this is what I mean.
Yeah.
So if we can get people sitting at this table with us, that's a critical step for us, because we feel like once we can sit down at the table with someone, we have a very good chance of at least being in the hunt of having the opportunity to be their builder, or for that matter, finding that next piece of land, or so we're doing some work right now in terms of using data that is out there, trying to aggregate data and use that as a tool for us targeting. Okay, here's the profile of land that we're looking for. Here's the profile of the lot profiles we're looking for. And just trying to use data analytics on a more sophisticated level than we've done in the past. So we've got this phenomenal recent graduate of the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, who has been working on a pretty significant project for us right now on that front. And so I say all that to say, I mean, how does AI come into play in that space? That is, we're home builders. We're not IT guys. We're not, we don't come from the information technology world. I've got 2 sons that work in the software space. They can talk circles around AI. I'm like, okay, great. How does that apply day to day in our business? So we're asking the questions more than
that's good.
My gut feel is it'll be something in that more on the planning, the front end process related things. Like I said earlier, one of the things that the software that we use is, like each day you can kind of create this log for like what's happening on each project. It will scan those and you can, like put together kind of an aggregate weekly summary to send out to to your client. It's things of that nature where again, like you said, it doesn't take somebody out of the picture, but it enhances what we're bringing to the table, what we can do for our clients, whether that's the experience there or maybe streamlining some things on, some of that planning, some of the takeoffs and estimating things of that nature. Because I'm using some software right now that isn't rocket science, and I'm sure somebody's going to figure out a way that you punch in a few data points and then let it go do all the work that takes a day for me now. I can probably
out for takeoff and estimates.
Probably crank it back out and the click of a button.
Well, like in takeoff and estimates. Think about it. Like on a custom home, you might have like certain finish levels on the inside of the house, but pretty much every house, if I have a crawl foundation, it's going to be stick built frame house. It's going to be hardy siding and brick, and you got a roof. The bones of a house are all very similar. I would think there would be some opportunity for a repeatable process using AI. So then at that point, our focus is more on the pretty things.
Client.
That
on
is
the client things, yeah.
It's client specific deal, but getting being able to get an estimate for a structure.
Yeah. Well, and having our team together where it's going to put together, let's say it's that 90% pass, and then the experience and knowledge that we have to take, let's say it's the report from whatever AI software, to sit down and review it and go, okay, a little adjustment on this. We're going to, price this way a little bit different because of the trade we work with. But if it can help carry, I'll say, a lot of the heavy lifting on the front end, and then that's where the human interaction is, plays in. And I'll say double checks to make sure it fits for what we're doing. That's how I see it probably playing out. If I had to,
I love it.
Put $1 on that bet right now.
Let me add one thing to this too. One thing we haven't talked about in this whole conversation is the whole renovation, remodeling type space, which we have intentionally not entered into because I think there's a good amount of opportunity out there. There's a lot of housing in our market that was built in the 90s, early 2000s. You have a lot of people that are staying home because they locked in a 2.75% interest rate, and they're like, I love this house. But they love that rate, and so how do I make where we are right now better? And so I think there already are AI tools out there that can be utilized for like estimating. Literally being able to walk into someone's house and pretty quickly turn around hey, here's a proposal, here's a plan, here's a timeline. Being able to use AI, so like for a kitchen renovation or for a bathroom renovation, or I know that there's a use there. I just don't know what it is yet.
Yeah. What guys, any parting thoughts as we wrap up the show? Anything that we haven't talked about?
Oh, good grief. No, what's that question that you haven't asked that you wish you could ask us?
No, I think we've covered a lot. We talked about a lot on this show, and I'm really happy with where we wound up. But if there's any burning thoughts before we wrapped it up, just let me know. I don't want to leave anything unfinished here.
All right, it might not be popular for the AI mind here, but AI can be helpful. There are still going to be people that have to go out and build the houses. And that is one of the biggest things that we are seeing a pinch point on is good skilled labor. So just as there's some great minds that are developing AI tools, I hope there are some motivated, skilled minds and backs of people that want to go learn masonry and plumbing and electrical work and framing, because I truly think that there's been such a shift in the past, let's call it 30 years from, to I'll say the office tech minded work, that now there's a massive shortage. And, you know, people can sometimes name their price because there's very few people out there that can do that work. So, as there's people thinking about, I'll say the younger generation, if there's somebody who loves to be outside or get their hands dirty and, do X, Y, or Z, like the sky's the limit for those people too.
Yeah.
And,
Amen.
not as scalable, but, when they find their niche, their little town, or the builders that
Don't get it twisted. I'm in the heart of Denver here in Cherry Creek, and if I throw a rock, I hit a private equity firm, and those blue collar guys are getting minted, left and right. And so there's so much money in trades right now. Yeah, it's huge. Yeah,
no, agreed.
Yeah.
So,
cool, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I really enjoyed diving in, and I know that this will be valuable for anybody that listens. Don't go anywhere because I'm going to keep chopping it up. But thanks for joining us on the pod.
All right,
thanks for having us, Andrew.
Yeah.